There's no way Shannon's going to use the big board for the Vegas Golden Knights history, right? Yeah. I don't see any reason to treat it any different. Yes, it's only 2 years, but boy, has a lot happened in 2 years, so there's a lot to talk about. This team came into the league at a time where the channel was growing, and the channel's growth was directly tied to Vegas for a while there, where a large portion of people watching my videos were from the Las Vegas area, which led to my wife and I saying, hey, we should take a trip there. Looks like that's the cheapest place to go, and the rest is history. So let's talk about the history. Playoffs, both seasons. 2018, 2019, they're in the playoffs. Not expected to be in the playoffs in 2018, and I remember going into 2019, or the 2018-2019 season when I was predicting them to finish pretty high. I had people saying, nope, this team's garbage. They fluked out. They were lucky to get to the finals. It'll never happen again. And then they did. They had 51 wins that first season. They have 94 overall their first 2 years in the NHL. That's pretty strong. And for $500 million, you should get a good team. But they didn't get a good team right out of the gate. They really, really didn't. And we'll get to that when we get to the trades part and actually looking at the expansion draft. Actually going through the expansion draft. They've never had a captain, so that's no big deal. Don't need to talk about captains. Draft picks, top 10, they've only had one. 2017, they drafted 6th, Cody Glass. So we'll see this year, likely this season, whether or not Cody Glass is going to be a star player for them or where he's going to end up. Of course, the original Golden Knight is Reed Duke. He was the first player that they ever signed, so he's the first player to ever wear a Golden Knights sweater or jersey, whatever you want to call it. I call it a jersey. But yeah, Reed Duke, the original Golden Knight. And right now, this is a team with a cap space of $1.03 million, which is weird because they're only going into their third season. Their all-time leading scorers in points, Marchessault and Carlson both have 134. Carlson, 67 goals, 67 assists. Marchessault, 52 goals, 82 assists. Riley Smith, 41 goals, 72 assists for 113 points. Alex Tuch, 35 goals, 54 assists, 89 points. Colin Miller, 13 goals, 57 assists, 70 points. Cody Eakin, 33 goals, 35 assists, 68 points. Shea Theodore, 18 goals, 48 assists, 66 points. David Perron, 16 goals, 50 assists, 66 points. Nate Schmidt, 14 goals, 52 assists, 66 points. This is entirely too many sixes. Just throwing that out there. There's too many 66s. Thankfully, Theodore and Schmidt are going to move off of that point. Perron is still there. Howla, 31 goals, 31 assists, 62 points. He, of course, no longer with Vegas, and we'll get to that. Wins leader is easily Marc-Andre Fleury with 64. Malcolm Subban, 21. Maxime Lagacé, which... I don't know why I had a C there. It's a G. Lagacé, not Lake. Anyway, 6 wins for him, which was impressive because he wasn't expected to be in there. He was the number 4. Dansk, 3 wins before he got hurt that year. And that was quite the year for Vegas, was when all of their goaltenders were getting hurt, and they ended up going as far down as Dylan Ferguson in their depth chart, and there wasn't anybody below him either. Coaching wins, that's easy. It's Gerard Gallant with 94. He's the only coach they've ever had. So Vegas, relatively easy. Now, it's worthy of note that on the eve of this team becoming a National Hockey League team, on the eve of their first season, of course, there was the shooting in Vegas from Mandalay Bay Hotel. I've been through Mandalay Bay now. I've been in that area. And honestly, absolutely tragic situation. But what it did, the positive that came out of this was that feeling of community and the bonding of the team with the community. And that was a big thing that helped this band of golden misfits get those 52 wins and get to the Stanley Cup final. And part of what I'm wondering with Vegas as they go into year 3 is, as we get further away from this bonding moment of city and team, and as some of the golden misfits are moved along, how that's going to change the complexion of the team and how that may change their performance on the ice as well without that chip on their shoulder. Now, when we get into their trade history, it's a pretty long one for 2 years, to be honest, because a lot of their trading, a lot of what set up how good they were, was done with George McPhee making these deals. These are the ones that GMs are now saying, we're not doing this with Seattle. I have my doubts. I have serious doubts that they will not do that with Seattle. I think they will. June 21st was a very busy day for the Vegas Golden Knights. They acquire Riley Smith from Florida for a 2018 fourth-round pick and the agreement that they take Marcia. So I understood that they wanted to save some money, and Riley Smith's contract was seen as being too much, but that just... Anyways. Same day, Nikita Gusev and a 2017 second and a 2018 fourth are acquired by Tampa for expansion draft considerations. You will take Jason Garrison. You will not take some of these other more attractive options. Same day, Vegas takes a 2019 second, a 2017 first, and David Clarkson from Columbus for expansion draft considerations. And I just put it EDC after that because I don't want to have to write it out over and over again when it's the same thing. So again, Columbus, we want to hold on to some players. Go ahead and take William Karlsson. We'll hold on to some other guys. June 21st, 2017, Alex Tuch is picked up from Minnesota in exchange for a conditional 2017 or 2018 third-round pick. And Tuch has been a very solid forward for Vegas. So again, June 21st was a big day. Same day, Vegas gets a 2019 third and a 2017 first. Winnipeg takes a 2017 first in return. So Winnipeg trades up. Vegas goes, fine, we'll trade down. And it works out pretty well for them. Same day, Vegas gets a player named Shea Theodore from Anaheim for expansion draft considerations. Not to be confused with Jose Theodore. See, for people who watch all my videos, it all works. It all works out. It all balances out. Shea Theodore, not to be confused with Jose. Anyways, no relation either. Shea Theodore, pretty good pickup, and Anaheim held on to some guys who were exposed that they'd rather not have lost. And this is why when I hear teams saying, well, we're not doing that again. Okay, so then Seattle will just take those players. So either way, Seattle's going to get a pretty good team. Same day, Vegas gets Jake Bischoff, Mikhail Grabovski, 2017 first and a 2019 second. And the Islanders get, expansion draft considerations. So all these teams made these deals to hold on to the players they'd rather not lose. And again, if we look back at this, are you really going to tell me that those GMs would look you in the eye and go, you know what, we would rather have lost those players and then had to face the fans after about why those guys were exposed? It's going to be interesting heading up to that expansion draft when teams are scrambling to try to make sure that those names, if they're going to be exposed, so be it, but they're going to do everything they can to prevent it. June 26th, so finally we move ahead later on in the week. June 26, 2017, Vegas gets Dylan Ferguson and a 2020 second-round pick. Dallas takes Mark Mathot. Mark Mathot, who Senator fans were not happy to have lost because they wanted to have Dion Phaneuf exposed so Mathot could be protected. Phaneuf refused to waive his no-movement clause and became persona non grata with a lot of Ottawa Senators fans, even though he was just exercising the rights that his contract had in it. Anyways, that moving along. October 6, 2017, Vegas gets Tobias Lindbergh in a 2018 sixth. Toronto gets Calvin Pickard. This was a shocker. So on the expansion, on the waiver wires, hey, look, it's Malcolm Subban. Vegas goes, we'll take Malcolm Subban. And even at the time, George McPhee goes in, we don't know if he's ready. I don't know. We don't know if he's ready. We're just taking him. And then he trades Pickard. So Pickard, who was supposed to be the backup to Marc-Andre Fleury, had a poor camp. And I guess George McPhee saw enough and said, yeah, this guy just isn't NHL ready. This is not an NHL level goaltender anymore. And moves him out. And so far since that trade, Pickard has had very little experience at the NHL level and appears to be done as a National Hockey League level goaltender. February 28th, February 23rd, 2018, Vegas gets Ryan Reeves in a 2018 fourth. Pittsburgh takes Tobias Lindbergh. So Pittsburgh, the trade they made to get Ryan Reeves looked like a loss, and this trade is definitely a loss for Pittsburgh. Reeves has been a folk hero for Vegas Golden Knights fans ever since he got there. February 26, 2018, Vegas makes a trade that I still think was not a great one. They pick up Thomas Tatar. Detroit gets 2018 first, a 2019 second, and a 2021 third. Ken Holland may take a lot of criticism, and rightfully so, from Detroit fans for the way things were towards the end of his time there. This trade is not one of those ones that they'll criticize. That number one pick became Joe Veleno. We'll see whether or not Veleno becomes an NHL level star as soon as this next couple of years. But Tatar didn't fit in Vegas. It just didn't work. So I will say this. In defense of George McPhee, he saw right away this didn't work. And when he was being made a healthy scratch and he didn't quite fit into the lineup, quickly he said, we can't do this again next year. But September 10th, 2018, he acquires Max Pacioretty. Max Pacioretty, capable of 30 goals. He scored 20 this year. We'll see if he ever gets back to 30 or if he's a 20-goal scorer from here on out. Montreal gets Tatar. So Thomas Tatar did not last very long in Vegas. Nick Suzuki, who'd been a top draft pick of theirs in 2017, and a 2019 second-round pick. So they traded their second first-round pick from 2017 in order to acquire Max Pacioretty. I still think that fee is steep. And then Pacioretty gets an extension for $7 million a year, and I think that number's high as well. Vegas, it's interesting because you cannot argue they haven't had great success. The question I've had with Vegas is whether or not they're building to have success over the next 2 or 3 years, or a continued level that's pretty darn high. If this is just going to be an excellent team year in, year out, or if we're going to see a fall off of the Vegas Golden Knights once a lot of their core gets older. February 25th, 2019, Vegas acquires Mark Stone from Ottawa for Eric Brandstrom, Oscar Lindbergh, and a 2022nd. And again, there's some risk in Brandstrom. You can look and say, well, they picked up Jimmy Schultz as a free agent out of NCAA. That's fine. Schultz is not seen as having the upside of an Eric Brandstrom. Brandstrom is, potentially a star player for Ottawa. I don't know if that happens in year 1 or year 2 or when, but it could very well happen. So, in a period of 6 months, the Vegas Golden Knights traded both of their second and third first-round draft picks in 2017. They had 3 first-round draft picks. They looked like they were set. 2 of the 3 are already gone. There's definitely risk to that. And picking up Stone and Pacioretty, yes, this means that they have a legit first line now with Paul Stastny as well. But, bumping down Marchessault, Carlson, and Smith to second line is great. I do wonder, though, about some of the depth issues this franchise is going to have. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but it's going to be coming up soon, and I think some of these draft picks they've lost, I think it's going to hurt. June 27th, 2019, Vegas gets Nicholas Roy, conditional, or Nick Roy. 2021 5th-round pick, which is conditional. Carolina gets Eric Haula. This was a cap move. Vegas, with cap issues, needed to get under the cap. They were still trying to figure out how to get Gusev to fit under their cap, and Haula ends up being dispatched. Haula had an injury-riddled season this past year. Made sense they moved on from him. Carolina could have got a steal here. June 28th, 2019, Vegas gets a 2021 second, a 2022 fifth. Buffalo gets Colin Miller. Again, this is a move predicated by cap considerations. Also, the other thing being they may look and say, you know what, Nick Hague's going to be ready. We're going to get him in. Maybe White Cloud gets in. We want to save a little bit of money along the way. And Miller had an iffy season at points this year. There were some question marks on the blue line. I was actually surprised John Merrill wasn't the one they shipped out, but I'm not the GM. July 23rd, 2019, Vegas acquires Garrett Sparks. Toronto gets David Clarkson and a 2024. This is a rare trade. So Clarkson, it was done to get that cap hit off the books, and Toronto did it to have more cap flexibility to potentially sign Mitch Marner. So both teams did this for cap reasons. Garrett Sparks, what the hell, we'll throw him in there with Malcolm Subban and see which one emerges as the backup in the fall. I honestly think it's 60-40 in favor of Subban, but I don't think the separation between Subban and Sparks is that great. July 29th, 2019, Vegas gets a 2023 and a 2021 second. New Jersey gets Nikita Gusev, and this is where Vegas fans get very upset. They've been told for 2 years about how good Gusev was going to be, how excited Vegas was to have Gusev. He doesn't end up playing a game. They signed him. They had him as a scratch during the playoffs towards the end of their first round exit against San Jose. And the perception being, okay, we'll have him in the lineup next year. He wanted more money than they were able to spend. I think they had tore the team down enough already that if they tore it down further to make room for Gusev, it didn't really make any sense. And again, you're biting off your nose to spite your face. Looking ahead to future drafts, 2020, they have a first, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, no fourths, a fifth, sixth, and seventh. So if this team is in a playoff spot at the deadline and it looks like they're looking for a rental, they do still have an extra second round pick and an extra third that they can dangle out there. 2021, they have one first, three second round picks, no third round pick, and a single pick in the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. In 2022, they have a single draft pick in every round, except the fifth round where they have two. So those two extra second round picks in 2021, the extra draft pick they have in 2020 and for the second and third rounds, those may be picks you look at as movable should they decide that they're in a rental market. Remember, that's $1.03 million in cap space, but as the season goes along, the cap allowance gets larger. So if they keep everything as it is, they might be able to pick somebody up who has like a $3 or $3.5 million cap hit at the deadline because they only have to pay X amount of dollars before the end of the year. It's ridiculous. So let's look at their expansion draft picks and see how many of them are still with the team. Calvin Pickard? No, he got traded. Lucas Spiza? Nope. Teemu Pulkkinen? Nope. John Merrill? Yes. John Merrill's still on that blue line. William Carrier? Yes. Cody Eakin? Absolutely. Thomas Nosek? Yes. Jonathan Marchessault? Absolutely. Braden McNabb? Yes. So a lot of those guys are still there. How many of them are really key guys? I would go with Marchessault. You could argue Carrier and Nosek have given them an identity on that fourth line, but again, fourth line guys, you can kind of replace those. Braden McNabb's been pretty solid for them at times. Connor Brickley, he's gone. Chris Thorburns not there. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, he made his exit this summer. Jason Garrison, nope. Jean-Francois Berube, nope. James Neal, he left after year one. Derek England is still there. Brendan Leipzig, no. Colin Miller, traded. Mark Mathot, traded. David Schlemko was traded. David Perron went back to St. Louis. Oscar Lindbergh, gone. Griffin Reinhart, gone. Alexei Emelin, gone. Clayton Stoner, nope. Eric Howell was traded this summer. William Karlsson is still there. Trevor Van Riemsdyk was traded to Carolina shortly after. They picked him up. Marc-Andre Fleury's still there. Nate Schmidt's still there. My point is simple. Yes, they picked up a lot of the guys who are still there and key guys. A lot of the rest of what they got was from other GMs going, hey, we have all these guys exposed. We don't want to lose. Take this. And whether it was draft picks or players, George McPhee then helped turn that into a better team once the 2017-2018 season got started. This list of players, this is not a playoff team. These 30 guys on their own with no other moves and nothing added, not really a playoff team. You had Gerard Gallant behind the bench, who had a chip on his shoulder when he went to Vegas. He's very diplomatic about it, but I would say that the way that he was canned by Florida had to give him a bit of a chip on his shoulder. You had all these guys who were golden misfits, who were players that teams didn't want. Because if you're Tuck, if you're Riley Smith, if you're Shea Theodore, it's we'll give up these guys, we'll give you these guys so we don't lose somebody we want to keep. Which tells these guys, oh, okay, so you didn't want to keep us. And that's part of that identity that I do wonder how that's going to change in year 3. I do wonder if the next time that I do this, and I intend to do these team history videos every 2 summers, what kind of story we're going to be telling about Vegas after year 4. Are we going to be talking about a Stanley Cup, or are we going to be talking about how they had a great year 1, and then they mortgaged their future for the present, and now it's kind of a middling team? I don't think they're going to end up being a team that falls way down the standings. I don't think that happens. It is going to be tough for them to stay up near the top or at the top. It helps them the Pacific Division, at least on the outside, looks like it's the weaker of the 4 divisions. But it's going to be an interesting season. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below regarding the Vegas Golden Knights, of course. And for people who thought, well, you can't really come up with a history video on Vegas, wrong. And yeah, so it's been a fun 2 years, and this is a team that obviously I'm going to follow closely. And I know that I still have a lot of subscribers in that area because, every 6 months we go out and it's like, hey, there's a lot of people here. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for all your support, and if you're a fan of the Golden Knights and you've been with the channel since the Golden Knights came in, thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a ton. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video, and hey, Thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you again soon.